So I founded Words Live because I wanted to respond to what it meant to be really and truly culturally responsive. And it stemmed from my volunteer work. So I was someone who was a songwriter hobbyist, and I love writing songs. I wrote for other people, wrote for myself. Comes out of traditional spoken word and hip hop. So I knew the rigor and sort of the practice of intricate songwriting. And I was volunteering in schools in DC at the time. And I thought if I could get my kids to learn and to love to read and write the way that I do, I think their literacy scores, their performance would be off the charts. And so my brain just began to map ways to sort of input songwriting, music, and poetry into classroom lessons. And initially, there was no technology. It was just me volunteering with teachers around DC. And then to answer the call of how to reach all the kids that need it, then we had to think more deeply about technology and what does this look like from an application perspective.
What is the range of your intervention currently?
Yeah, so we typically work with middle and high school, and we work with English, history, civics, social studies, things that are really text based. So this could be political speeches, this could be dramatic plays, this could be obviously literature, novels, poems, short form, long form, also essays and informational articles. You know, there's certain structures that you see are repetitive across editorials, across articles and essays. There's argument writing, there's structure, but you see those same structures show up in movie scripts and songs and comic books. And so we just have developed a practice of teasing it out from those mediums and making that marriage so that students can make the connection. And they have what I call like an easier access ramp onto the content that we want them to master in schools.
What is the range of your intervention currently?
So this is an interesting question. So when we started, it almost was organic because I would come in as a volunteer with the teacher. So my work was directly, liaising with the teacher saying, what do you need? What is this unit plan? What's the learning objective? So my whole brain in terms of this solution became from the teacher's perspective. And so we did something that's a little bit interesting in EdTech. And we said, we're not going to focus on building it for the student. We're actually going to focus on building this product for the teacher. And so our entire platform is built to generate all the things a teacher needs to deliver this lesson in their classroom. So most teachers don't know the music their kids are listening to. So we have all the scaffolding devices, the background on the artist, the background on the music, cheat sheets, lyrics. We give them the learning objective. We link it to Common Core. We generate Google Doc quizzes. Literally, it's everything the teacher needs. It's very teacher centric because I think the teacher's the gateway, right? A lot of times you have solutions that the kids may like, but if the teacher's not comfortable, they're not going to use that platform as much. And so we just thought the teacher was the gateway to really getting into that classroom. And also from a business perspective, pushing the sale up to the school. If the teachers are advocating for that particular product to be in the building, we have a much greater chance of adoption.
I would agree with that. As a teacher myself, I can certainly appreciate making that teacher friendly, particularly in supporting the educator in trying to engage the learner on a level that they are comfortable with and that they can navigate easily. That's amazing. As far as the learner side, how do you measure the impact of success for this program?
Yeah, it was sort of our initial pilot centered around two ideas. One, could we increase engagement? And we know that from prior research, engagement tends to be a very strong correlate of performance. That may not happen or be co-located in the same period, but usually if a student can be engaged long enough, we'll see the performance increase later on. And then we decided to do something else that's interesting, which was focus on in-class performance. So not state standard testing, not the SATs, just focus on things like exit tickets, unit quizzes. Like our hypothesis was if we could just get kids to engage and commit in the classroom work, then we think it'll have a long-term benefit on their performance. So we just really focus on engaging them. And then that unit, like that day, that exit ticket, can we increase performance on that? And can we do that week over week, then month after month, and then hopefully semester after semester?
What is the geographic area that this is being implemented in? Is this local to the DC area, throughout the US, or is it beyond the US?
It's weird. So it's kind of all, but not in the way that not in a way that would be typical of like a national rollout of an EdTech program. So we're very organic and based in DC. So we typically have only worked with DC Public Schools, Prince George's County Public Schools, which is a neighboring Maryland district. It's a large district, but it's just like literally a neighbor is Washington, DC. Most of our pilots have been in DC and Maryland. Now, we've done pilots in Oakland, California, in Kansas City, out in Austin, Texas as well. Those have been kind of like expansive and seeing like, okay, like, will this work in a rural setting? Will this work in a suburban setting? Will this work in a school district that's independent? We just tried those type of pilots. But what we did last year was we made the beta public. So this was intentional as well. So when we first built it, it was just very private, just one-on-one pilot programs with individual teachers. I then opened it up, made the platform public, and we've had about 4,000 educators on the platform over the past 18 months. Some of those educators are in China, some of them are in India, South Africa. And so that's why I say it's kind of but I pause to say that because I don't want to overstate like our level of adoption, because it's just purely been a beta. Like we just released it to the public. Now we've gotten some good feedback, of course, but we haven't had formal pilots in China or formal pilots in India. We haven't done that yet. We just know from, capturing the data that we do have educators that have used our platform.
So you said that you made this platform public. Is it fully public, or are there accounts and subscriptions that you can purchase with increased benefits after you get familiar with the basic platform?
Yeah, so once we concluded our formal pilot program, which ended last school year, we got our roadmap for our commercial product. So the beta is free. Like we made it public. It was, no real issue for us because the real version we're rolling out next month for this upcoming school year. So we made it free. So you can make an account. It's completely public and free. We're capturing data, of course, but there's no hurdle to just get on and begin to use lesson plan.
So what is the ultimate goal for this program? What would you like to see happen?
Yeah, so I have a pretty ambitious goal, and my goal stems from the way that we see the country changing, and we know that in the year 2040 or 2045, the way new projections are coming, that the country as a whole, but certainly K through 12, ethnically and demographically will be shifting towards majority non-white. And with that comes from some real cultural challenges. And so what we want to do over the next 20 years is shift the ratio of students who are grade level reading proficient. What's happening now is we have a silent killer. There's a few red flags, but we aren't really talking about it. For the first time, I think in almost 2 decades, the NAEP scores for reading have gone down. And if you know NAEP, it's 4th and 8th grade that are measured. The reading scores in terms of who's reading proficient for their grade level have actually gone down nationally. So if you take a step back and you say all the investment in EdTech, all the investment we've made, going from No Child Left Behind to Every Student Succeeds, all these new initiatives have actually resulted in lower average performance. And I think that's a big alarm considering who now is being educated, how the student body is changing, and just where the economy is going, what kind of jobs are available. So we're graduating more students who are less proficient in reading. That's going to have some detrimental effects on our civics and our economy. And so what we want to do is flip the ratio of students who are grade level reading proficiency. On average, you only see about a third, 1 out of every 3, if you look at 4th and 8th graders who score at or above their grade level in terms of proficiency. We want to flip that to be 2/3. So we're trying to literally move about 35 to 40 million students into grade level reading proficiency in 20 years. To do that, we think we'll have to affect about 400,000 teachers. And so that, in terms of ultimate goal, that's when we know we've achieved. We have 400,000 teachers on the platform. We have at least 30 million students showing like day-to-day improvement in their reading and their literacy lesson assignments. That'll be our indication that we're doing the right thing.
I love that. I think in many ways you summed up an appropriate approach to many issues that we face, and that is increase imagination and focus on relationships. I think there are few better things that we can do to make lasting change possible than to increase those 2 things. improve the way that we pull imagination in and our creativity for approaching problems while focusing on relationships and supporting one another through those processes.
I
So
think you just summed it up way better than I did. That's great.
those were your words. You did a fantastic job of identifying that, and I'm so grateful for your time and your insights. I just want to ask, is there anything else you'd like to share about Words Live or your work before we conclude?
Just this is going to be an interesting year for us. This is quite literally our official rollout year. So, social media stuff, please follow us. We'll begin to post quite a bit when the product hits next month. So it's an exciting time for me. So just be on the lookout. This is one of those trajectory changing years, I think.
Well, we will definitely be on the lookout, and we are very excited to share what you are doing and hopefully provide access and opportunity for many more teachers that are looking for innovative ways to reach their students and increase their skills. We're so grateful for your time and everything that you are doing right now, and for sharing with us a little bit more about this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for having me.